Let me set up my timer first.
To open the case, let's invite the Prime Minister. Time is yours.
I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay. We consider digital solution in school activities is a concept that captures the vision of dignitizing school learning and management systems to equip students with 21st century competition and expertise. The world is changing rapidly and the skills required are constantly evolving. Traditional schools that are not equipped to incorporate for the 21st century competencies and expertise will no longer be sufficient to support an increasingly diverse and innovation-oriented society of tomorrow. Example in what the motion meaning by fully digital is, we can look at our education now. There are a lot of digital methods that are concluded in our education, like learning, Google Classroom, and other digital methods that are free to us to reach, right? So related to this motion, we believe that with including the digital, it will really help our educational system. Me as the Prime Minister will bring why this method is important, remembering our condition right now. In this era, many children are bored with books. They feel an interest in reading books, and how we solve that problem is to use digital. With digital learning methods, we can animate lessons such as learning video, and of course, with animation, students will be more interested in learning. Next, if we observe our current learning system, in Indonesia, we have started to implement a digital learning system in our school, right? Like during exams, we use laptop. We no longer use paper for tests. And yeah, of course, this has its own purpose with exam using laptops or with using digital. It helps students to be more honest because with digital, the learning process is certainly safer. So, and then fully using digital in schools also train us to live in the future. We all know that in 10 or 20 years, our world will become a digital world. Everything is regulated by technology, and with this method, we have prepared our students to adapt in the future. As we can see, the digital worlds open up a lot of new jobs, such editors, YouTubers, and it's all because digital technology. Even if you think this method will use a lot of money, but look at now in pandemic like this, digital learning via online is the only way for the world to continue education. What I will emphasize, sooner or later, we will turn to digital world. We cannot continue to be trapped in the past because technology is our future. Okay, given the current world condition related to the environment, our world is dying, and our environment will certainly benefit more from digital learning because this learning is paperless, so it will be more environmentally friendly for the environmental. Also, ebooks are less expensive and more easily updated. Textbook can be frustrating items. A brand new textbook one day not only becomes battered by frequent use, but can just as quickly become obsolete as second, third, and fourth edition of the books are released in quick succession. It's even more burdensome for the students who have to buy newer edition of textbook every year and large multiple subject books around for the entire school day. There is an easier way. Ebooks access purely on digital platform. As such, are forever pristine and easy to read. They are also automatically updated with the latest information for free, so you can count on your text always being up to date. Ebooks work particularly well in conjunction with text apps, which enable students and teachers to interact with the material. For example, To take any existing document, including scanned PDFs, and write, draw, type, note it in comment, all within our browser. This means exercise like close reading or answering worksheet question can be done from a device and not printing, and printing is not required at all. Okay. Now look at our situation. In this pandemic era, digital online learning is the only way the world continues their education, as I said before. This is another advantage of digital learning. This can be done anywhere, under any circumstances, even in condition we cannot meet in person. So, uh, uh, where is it? Therefore, as a government side of the house, we believe that national school should go fully digital. Thank you.
Thank you for the Prime Minister. Have already spent time 5 minutes and 59 seconds. To open the opposition case, I would like to invite leader opposition. Time is yours. Here.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm as first speaker from opposite team. Okay, I would like to explain my argument that technology can never replace great teachers. And in traditional classrooms, teachers can give students immediate face-to-face feedback. Students who are experiencing problems in the curriculum can resolve them quickly and directly, either during their lecture or during the dedicated office calls. Personalized feedback has a positive impact on students, as it makes learning process easier, richer, and more significant, all the while raising the motivation levels of the students. E-learning, on the other hand, still tends to struggle with student feedback. Students completing regular assessment become dissatisfied when they experience a lack of personalized feedback. The traditional method of providing student feedback don't always work in an e-learning environment. And because of this, online education providers are forced to look towards alternative methods for providing feedback. Providing students feedback in an online setting is still a relatively unresearched topic area, and it might take a while for any specific strategies to become fully research-based and proven to be effective. People who live in the interior write the internet network in Indonesia is not evenly distributed, and it is also impossible for us to need people to buy cell phones, while their finances are not necessarily adequate. There are also drawbacks to the technology used in education. Here are a few listed below. The first one is technology is destructive. The attention span of a child and even an adult gets diminished with digital tools. The second one, personal interaction between teachers and students or peer discussion reduced. The third one, not affordable for all. The fourth, digital tools increase the scope for malpractice during examinations. The fifth, the credibility of information available online is questionable at times. Mistake, inappropriate content. Video games, especially violence, can impact the mind and health of young adults. 7. Limited internet access. What the meaning of the limited internet access? One of the shortcomings of the digital method is the limited internet access. If you are in an area where there is no stable internet coverage, it will be difficult for you to access our e-learning service. This, of course, still happens a lot in Indonesia, considering that some tricky areas that underdeveloped frontier and other modes are still not covered by internet access. 8. Less interaction with teachers. Some digital methods are one-way. This causes less teacher and student interaction so that it will be difficult for you to get further explanation about material that is difficult to understand. The ninth, understanding of the material. The material taught in digital is responded to based on different levels of understanding, depending on the student's abilities. Some people may be able to grasp material more quickly just by reading, but some may take longer to fully understand. Some even need explanation from other people in order to understand the material being studied. And the 10th, lack of supervision in learning. Lack of supervision in carrying out digital learning makes students sometimes lose focus. With the ease of access, some users tend to procrastinate their study time. Also, during exams, without supervision, students tend to cheat in doing exams. They sometimes copy or paste from the internet. So what is the solution? Here the solution. The solution is research have demonstrated successful examples of peer feedback systems in online learning, which could be a potential solution to the problem of limit student feedback in e-learning. Of e-learning is sometimes solved through video chat with professor, which functions similarly to the professor office hours during on-campus training. Another solution is some of the ways to combat loneliness and social isolation in online learning could be. The first one, promoting increased interaction between online students. The second one, utilizing blended learning environment. And the third one is monitoring the students for signs of social isolation. Okay, I think that is all for me. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the leader opposition. Have already spent time 6 minutes and 22 seconds. To continue the government case, would like to invite the Deputy Prime Minister. Time is yours here. Deputy Prime Minister, are you there? It's time for you. Or just give me sign. Deputy Prime Minister,
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry for the time. I'm gonna start my speech in 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna start my timer first. Sorry. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we see two things that the oppositions of the house's case. First is how they would not justify this school would not go to fully digital, and they're concerned about this digital era is not so fair for all of the people in the country. Let's address them both. For them to win, their harms will have to overthrow our benefits, and their mechanism will have to be better than ours. We need to clarify when the opposition side of the house has pointed out that we as the government side of the house would say that, let's just say that in the current status quo, we know that in the concept of traditional education has changed radically in recent years, right? Because we tend to think that being physically present in the classroom is not the only learning option anymore, not with the advent of the internet and new technology. At least today you have access to quality education whenever, when, and wherever you want, as long as you have the access to the internet. We are now entering a new era, right? The online education revolution. We should emphasize we're living in a digital era, that because the saying, if your argument about no, we shouldn't go fully digital because you said maybe this isn't possible now, maybe you bring about developing countries, say that they don't have the incentive enough, maybe the money is hard to find, and they would think that there were lack of funding, or maybe lack of technology and insufficient adequate resources. We even think the opposite. We're gonna assure you that the opposite is correct, because if you guys think about the lacking of resources or something, even though in the end of the day, almost everyone must have something called technology, right? We all have, almost everyone have handphone, right? With this technology, make it very easy for us, because in this context, we can communicate with anyone very easily, right? Even creating a website that includes a lot of educational system can be through a website that basically makes it, website is making us free, right? And it doesn't cost anything at all. And the best case scenario is this right now, that we all don't need a lot of resources to educate ourselves. We already have sufficient resources. First, the website is free. And secondly, the teacher is adequate. We can communicate to the teacher all the time. It only needs to be implemented for students in national schools. Then concerning the present era like we are now, era of the corona pandemic, you can see that many countries are already very developed and then use the method that we know as fully digital now. This proves that assistance for incentive and donate to citizen has been implemented there. This also proved that the time have been very developed. There is no need to use a very tedious method system, namely using the paper system or everything else. And even in the worst case scenario, right, the wasteful of the use of paper here has proven to be damaging the environment with a very fatal subject. Moving on to nowadays, it is all modern era. So if we compare the graduates from the lacking of technology schools, they will not get very much sufficient education, because because they don't implement this digital era into their school. Their schools are left behind, while compared to those who are schools based on this digital era, they are likely to become the best graduates on their school. So this makes all many students will be motivated. All students will be motivated because of this learning digital era through the technology, right? Because this is their interest. Their interest is to living the fully best of their life. And community today knows that this modern era has a proper definition. That then why don't you want to implement this digital era? And I'm gonna start my argument. The first reason why national schools really need to go really digital is because, first of all, books are no longer relevant. Why do I think that? Because even in the worst case scenario, people nowadays, or students now, are like us, are very, very lazy to read books. This statement cannot be denied by all of us, right? Learning in a digital way is indeed more efficient. Why do we state like that? Because this is based on the fact that now at national schools, take an instance like examination. Examination have used technology, right? We also cannot deny that we have reached the era that we now have become. This era is making our life more easier, or maybe, so, and second of all, online digital education online allows teacher and students to set their own pace of learning, because both of them are learning in the same pace, and there is added flexibility in setting schedules to suit everyone's agenda. As a result, using an online education platform allows anyone for a better balance of work and study, right? So there is no need to give up. There's no need to give up to the new digital era. You just have to adapt this new era, right? Studying online teaches you vital time management skills. This is the one of the most benefits, which make finding a good work-study balance easier. Having a shared agenda between students and teachers can also encourage both parties to accept new responsibility and have more autonomy. And the second is digital era right now. Why do we think that schools need to go fully digital? Is because nowadays this educational system offers a wide selection of programs in a space as wide as the internet. There are endless skills and subjects to teach and learn. More and more universities and higher education schools are offering online versions of their program for various levels and disciplines. From musical composition for quantum physics, there are options for every type of student. Studying your program online is also a great option for earning a certificate, diploma, or official degree with physically setting foot on a university campus. And the last argument is it is more cost efficient than traditional education. Unlike hands-on education method, online education tends to be more affordable. There are often, you just need, we already know that this era requires us to have technology. Yes, we all have that. There are often various payment options that allow you to pay in installment or by class. This allows for better budget management. Many of you may also be subject to discounts or scholarships, so prices are really high. You can also save money from travel and class materials, which are often available free of charge. In other words, less monetary investment, but the result can be better than other options. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the best case scenario. Like even we did say that the argument is talking about if you guys really want to know this fact about the educational funding comes, this educational funding comes from the government. Am I right? So yeah, that's why education funds will be easier received to go fully digital because there is already education fees that get from the government, right? Like our own country, like Indonesia, they have already funding come from BOS funding. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, by this far we ask the government side of the house have already rebutted all the opposition side of the house arguments, and by this means we as the government side of the house proudly propose this motion. I think that's all I got. Thank you.
Well, Deputy Prime Minister have already spent time 7 minutes and 23 seconds. To continue the opposition case, I would like to invite the deputy leader opposition. Time is yours. Here.
Check. Is it clear?
Yes, you are clear and audible.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First, I want to rebut what the second government speaker said that website makes student will understand more than face-to-face. Website not guarantee student will understand because limited interaction when learning digital can make it difficult for children to understand the explanation given by the teacher. Plus, if the child reluctant or hesitant to ask question, in addition, inadequate internet connection and gadget can cause children to have difficulty understanding lesson. This, of course, can have an impact on his academic grade. Let's jump to my argument. The first is exposed to gadget more frequently. School require children to use gadget digital more often. In fact, the recommended screen time or time use gadget for children aged 2 until 5 years is only 1 hour, while primary school age children are only 2 hours. If there are no strict face direction, children may become accustomed to using gadgets even during studying. This can have a negative impact on children's eye health and cause them to become addicted to gadgets. The second is character flaw. For example, cheating is unavoidable. Digital school include assessment just like regular school as well. However, there are no teacher or proctor to watch over you during exam. It's easy for online students to share answer knowing there's nobody watching. The third point is focus more on theory. You will spend most of your time listening to podcasts, watching video. There is no hand-on experience like conducting experiment. It's the most modern way of learning that require only a gadget and internet access. However, it's not for anybody. The last is lack of understanding the listen well. Like I said first, it means like you will not understand more than face to face. So this will impact to your impact to your value and make you not understand what you what the website said. Thank you. That's all.
Well, thank you for Deputy Leader Opposition. So it's time, have already spent time 3 minutes and 13 seconds. So to close the debate of the government, let's invite Deputy Government Whip. Time is yours.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are clear and audible.
Okay.
I'm gonna set my timer first. I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. The government says that not all regions have a good income, right? Yes, we admit that not all regions have good income, but the fact is that even if in developing countries like Indonesia, for example, they have allocated sufficient funds for education, right? As we currently get right now, the student quota, almost all over Indonesia is get that student quota, right? This shows that the government is actually has the capability to initiate this system, right? Current facts also shows that now many people, even they who live in rural areas and perhaps those living in remote villages who use cell phones. Therefore, in online schools, this can be
Please.
no, thank you. Therefore, in online schools, this can be one way to overcome the gap between large rural cities and the cultural lack that occurs in rural areas, right? With more and more online schools, it means that it's undergoing digital transformation that is truly shaping the future of the job market, right? Today, digital literacy is an increasingly demanded skill among the workforce, and many offices are choosing not to use paper, right? And adopting new digital ecosystems and breaking geographic boundaries with the use of technology. So we ask the question, should schools be potential employers and create fully digital environments in their classroom? Should they invest in enhancing the capabilities of our youth for the incredible digital future? Online learning can be the best answers to that question. Online learning can reduce the use of trees that are essentially used as paper makers, right? Yes, paper, to be honest, this is the lifeblood of the modern classroom. Textbook, worksheets, exercise notebooks, and even scrap paper are all important school materials. And so could education really exist without it? Yes, the answer is can. In the digital age, like now, there are many new tools available to help teachers that deliver important instructional materials and lessons, all without touching the printer. like even ebooks, learning management systems, Google Classroom, and even e-learning are all part of a movement away from manual paper-based classrooms. This can be used to carry out online school activities that are not all too expensive because all the devices that I mentioned before are all free, right? Plus the fact that today's school children rarely still like to read books. And the most reason and the biggest reason is because the book is too big, the book is too heavy, and it's difficult to carry around. But with online schools, it will be easier for them to access books and other teaching materials whenever and wherever they are. With brands like Microsoft, Google, and even Apple developing for students who use Apple, the best answer to this question, I'm sorry, with brands like Microsoft, Google, and Apple developing school system around the world, it can make students more likely more easier to uh, to get to get a learning materials, for example. And let's let's take an example from Microsoft. Microsoft has several programs aimed at students and teachers to bring technology to the classroom, right? Coupled with the current status, which is this pandemic. All national schools must adopt this this online learning system to reduce the current level of COVID-19 cases, right? And especially during the current pandemic, we are used to doing online schooling, which we have been doing for a year. So it will be very easy to implement the system in national schools, right? And moreover, now everything is modern. So, like what my second speakers said before, if we compare graduates uh, from these inadequate schools, they will not get adequate education because actually they do not apply this digital era to their schools, and their schools are temporarily left behind compared to schools based in this digital era, right? Tend to be the best graduates. So this makes a lot of students will be motivated to learn through digital, right? Because this is their interest. Our community today knows that this modern era has a very strong foundation. Then why do we implement it? Because it it can be a way from the students to face their their future. And the opposition side of the house, and I think the opposition side of the house should not be worried about our ability in the digital aspect, because this is 2021. Everything is digital, like what I emphasized before. Even when we like to ordering food, sending letters, topping up credit, everything is done digitally, right? Then why we are worried if education uses the website and uses the online schools system? Because it just doesn't make any sense. If they can't, that's the point of that's the point for schools to bring this method, so that students get used to using digital in their lives. Because as my first and second speaker said, our future is in the world of technology, right? So I think based on what my team had brought for today's motion, we deserve better to win than than the opposition side of the house. Thank you.
Well, government whip already spent time 7 minutes and 31 seconds. Well, let's invite the opposition way to close the opposition case. Time is yours here.
Okay, I'm the third speaker of the upside team, so I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay, the first thing I want to do is I want to rebut a few arguments that government team has said before. The first argument is about the uninterest in reading. Okay, let's see what is the true aims of learning. Okay, learning is developed a skill and simple to experience in the thought under articulately created an environment and created a good characteristic of student. But if we don't want to reading, then it will be nothing. Then reading is the window to the world that we could gain all the knowledge from the window, from the books. And then reading is important because it develops our thought, gives us endless knowledge and lessons while keeping our mind active. Without reading, we can't guarantee that someone are being success in their future. Even B.J. Habibie, our third presidents are a big fans of books. He always read book every day. Then it increased the IQ of him. It increased the intelligence of him. And what would it be if our countries are letting or deny or even ignore or even ignore this problem is the uninterest in reading. So we have to increase the interest in reading to our student in order to be an intelligence, and it's also guaranteed the successful in the future. And the second things I want to read is about the environment health. Okay, you mean that because book is produced by the paper and paper is sourced from the trash. But in the fact that not all the book are made by a trash. There's so much alternative for us. Generally, paper is made from wood and raw material, but there are also an alternative or a fabric to make a paper. It's not only from the trash. The first alternative is bamboo. As we know, Asian nations, especially China, Korea, and Japan, make paper from bamboo tree trunks. Bamboo is a raw material that is easily available to them because the climate and the area are the support for bamboo plant species. And the second is papyrus. Papyrus tree is a tree that grows and can be used by the Egyptians as raw material for making weapons. In Egypt itself, according to the history record, become the pioneer of paper making in the world. And the third is animal skin. It's proof that not all the paper made by the trust, didn't make from the tree. Okay, the third is about animal skins. Skin are also used by some group as a raw materials for making papers. What is commonly used in the sheep skins type because the material is also quite easy to obtain, although not as much as wood or bamboo. And as we know that not all the wood are taken to produce the paper to our countries. There is a particular wood that is taken to the production forest and then cut into pieces or better known as logs. Okay, so let me explain to you the process of paper makings or paper manufacturing. Okay, the first is the wood itself, the particular wood that is cut into small pieces. Then it is progressed. The chips are of the appropriate size are taken to those that are not suitable are represented. And then the pulp is processed into stock and preparation sections. And from the cleaner stock, it enters the head book, which functions to form a sheet of paper.
that the paper that we usually use in our daily life, and its functions is to dispose of water that is stuck. The result that comes out is called with paper, and its solid content is around 20%. And this problem, no, I mean, and this progress prove that not only a paper is one of the sources that can make a book for us. I mean, paper is not the only material to produce. Trees is not one of the material that we need to produce a paper. And then here are my solutions to solve this problem. Okay, my solution is combined both digital and face-to-face. Why I said combine both digital and face-to-face or make a balanced way to learn is the first. There are always two kind of student in our class. The first kind of student is the individual learning one. Not all the students are feeling comfortable when they learn in a public or in a place where it is full by so much people, and that will make the individual student one, or we call it the introvert, feel burdened, and it will cause an effective learning. And the second kind of student is the socialist one. The socialist one, as example like me, I don't feel, or the student will not feel okay to just stay at home, and they will also have a problem in understanding the lessons given by their teachers, and it also such a bother for them to to involve of this education system. And how? And let me prove this. Let me prove the solutions. Just like Finland knows as a rank high in the PSA best school system in world, and Finland doesn't use this fully digital system for their education system in school. They use a face-to-face system, which we know that the Finland really maximize the time that they have in school, and they really give that focus of their student, and that is the another proof of me. And then okay, so let me jump to my arguments. I want to present to my partner arguments is the first that is right nowadays some people use an applications for their examinations, but it doesn't guarantee it that the honesty of them. I mean, cheating preventions during online assessment is complicated, as we know that without a proper identity verification system in place, students taking online assessment might be able to let a third party take assessment instead of themselves. It means cheating. The result is in a whole. Okay. So the solution is, in order to protect the authenticity of online education, anti-cheating measure must be put in place by any online education. Okay, so that's all. That's all for me, and I strongly believe that my team will win this debate. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the opposition. We have already spent time 8 minutes and 14. Let's invite the reply speaker from the opposition. Time is your here.
So, the first point is lack of understand the lesson well. We believe that e-learning is not as simple as learning face-to-face. It means we are not catching that probably supposed to be, but getting complicated because e-learning. The second is in health factor. If we get a fully digital, imagine a study stream of radiation exposed Of course, our eye health is being questioned. So the third is you will spend most of your time to watch video and uh, playing your gadget. There's no hand-on experience like condition experiment.
Our explanation is truly clear.
Our explanation is truly clearly, and I believe that my team will win this debate. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the reply speaker from the opposition. Have already spent time 1 minute and 22 seconds. Well, let's invite the reply speaker from the government. Time is yours.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I'm gonna set my timer first. Okay, I'm gonna start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, the opposition of the House has only conveyed their fear that if this digital method made it difficult for education and students, do they provide a really clear mechanism? No, they don't. On the other hand, our team has really explained the importance, the urgency, and the benefits of this digital system to be fully applied in education like now. Maybe my team has already explained it very, very clearly that the system of education will be implemented by the funding of the government. Like our own country itself, I already explained to you that my team has clearly explained that the education will be funding from the BOS funding government system. And therefore, I'm gonna explain the comparison of the arguments to my arguments. The arguments is really lacking of explanation, and they're only giving us some arguments. They're only showing us arguments that really don't make any sense, and their arguments don't really relevant to the topic we're talking today, because they're only giving us some statement, only the statement that they don't really want to go digital completely because maybe they think that's impossible, or I don't know, maybe they're raising at developing countries, or they don't have insensitive, money is hard to find, or blah blah blah, and they'll think they are underfunded and lacking. But I already explained to you that all of our mechanism is perfectly well known. We already give explanation about the comparison of the graduates from schools that don't really go through the era of digital. The graduates don't have really educated knowledge, and compared to the fully digital era school, that they have the best of the best graduates. And we have already explained to you the comparison of the method they're using, such as they think that the paper is really well known, perfectly suitable for the status quo. But no, the status quo is right now is the pandemic corona. We don't really have paper to write on because we can see that many countries are very advanced, and we already explained to you that the use of method we know as fully digital now. This proof that incentive assistance donated to the citizen has been implemented there. This also proof that era is very developed. There is no need to use a very tedious system method like paper. It is only just giving an environmental battle impacts. They don't really explain this actually. And the worst case scenario that they don't really proven the damage to actually fix the damage of the environment by using paper. And therefore, our team really deserves to win. I think that's all. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the request speaker from the government team. So spend time 2 minutes and 32 seconds. So just give me 5 to 10 minutes. Don't, well, just wait me in this breakout room. Don't go anywhere. I will call you one by one if I'm ready. But before that, opposition, please send me your speaking order, please. Who is going to speaking first, second, third, and replay speak. Thank you, opposition. Opposition, hello opposition. Minta speaking
Yes, we're
ordernya.
here.
Minta speaking ordernya dong. Siapa yang namanya pembicara 1, 2, 3. Kirim ya. Thank you.
From chat.
Yes, chat box.
Belum. Situ?
Mute ya. Minta tolong di mute dulu.
Oh iya. Oke, sorry. That's all.
Yang replay speaker siapa ya? Who is the replay speaker in oppositions? Hello. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Okay.
guys.
Okay.
Check, check. Hi guys, I'm audible.
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, thank you so much. Government is here.
Yes, we're here.
Oppositions, okay, you're here. Well, thank you for the debate. Basically, this debate is below average debate because a lot of things that you should more elaborate on this debate. None of the speaker talking about why the public schools, why we should invest in technology, technology in education, for instance, or in national schools, why education or some things like that. None of you talking about the fundamental things first before you jump to the practicality of the such as of the practical argument uh, in your speech. So I think because since we believe since both of them not really give clearly characteristic on stakeholder, so that's why this debate is below average debate. And second of that's the general comment is the debate. I think you should more elaborate on the stakeholder, maybe education, curriculum, and also student teachers. You should more talking about more detail to talking about them. Yes, you are talking about them, but you should more elaborate on that side on that side. So yes, this is the general comment. So welcome to the decisions. Decision I give winning goes to the government teams under two reasons. Number one, let's see the classes debate. The classes debate, I found two classes in this debate. One, the justifications, the name of the environmental, both of you talking about the environmentals. Second of all, the idea of the education, how look like this, digital schools could be, or the process of them itself. Let me let's talk about the first classes about, yes, both of you talking about the environmental, but in this case, I give the winning goes to the government in the environmental issues. Why? Number one is that because in the environmental issues, they believe that the governments, they believe that the paper, this is such as the give harm for the environmental because we use the you just treat to the paper. So that is why we should go to fully digital of the national school itself, a learning process or something like that. That we see the idea of the oppositions by saying that, hey, education, we have also another solution. For instance, like one, you should only you using such as the bamboo and also skins animal. But this is lack on analogy and explanations. Then why, in the name of environmental, is this okay for you as the opposition to using skin of the animals or bamboo or something like that? So I think it's really you should more elaborate on that on that points. And the second of all, the idea of the process, for instance, like both of them talking about, hey, if you're going to implement this the proposal, for instance, like governments give the analysis by saying that characteristic of our society right now, there tends to be technology, by saying that people really bored in reading because they are not really interesting. And then the idea of the opposition saying that in the name of the process, they saying that hey, it's not going to be successful because the idea of the sustainability, the idea of the factor, for instance, like one is about the internet and also about the budgeting and also about budgeting and also about uh, protections from the teacher and some things like that. In these classes, I give the winning to the government. Why? Since the government is to give you such as successfully to rebuttal them by saying that hey, internet and also budgeting is not a big deal. It's not a big of problem since we believe the national schools under the governments, for instance, under the government, it's enough to tackle the idea of the idea of the such as the internet, budgeting, or some things like that. But you and also oppositions do not really explaining about why budgetings and also internet is really it's really important. I think do not just mentioning, but you should more elaborate on data points. And the second of all, about an idea of process of learnings. Oppositions come up with the idea, hey, you cannot control them, by the governments. But in this classes, the government also give by saying that, hey, in the pandemic era, we're using the Google Form or Zoom or something like that. So the teacher also can, such as control them by the open camp or something like that. But and also the one things that I'm really it's about the technology era. None of the opposition's rebuttal of the why technology is really important in third. By saying in third speaker, for instance, in government, by saying that, hey, in our conditions right now, everything is by digitals, like the, such as in online systems or even in the economic, like or some things like that. So opposition is more responsive on that point. So based on that point, by the environmental learning process and also stakeholder, I give the winning goes to the governments. So thank you guys. If you have any questions about my decisions, please approach me via WhatsApp. Thank you. You might leave this breakout. Is it clear?
Thank you.
Power